Okay, I'm going to take care of one technical thing. The levels on the video okay? Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I was honored to get a call from, was it Mike? Matt, yeah. When I presided over their dad's funeral, Harold's, a few years ago, it's always hard to say. It's nice to get repeat customers in this situation, but I was honored to be called again. And I'm reminded of promises in old Hebrew scripture that love and comfort comes near when we're hurting. And though our time here today is short, we're going to do our level best to celebrate the life and mourn the passing of Barbara. So I'm just going to prime the pump a little bit, because there are stories that need to be told, and there are stories that will continue as you eat together at the gathering afterwards. But let me start with just some of the things that her son shared with me about the kind of woman that she was. Barbara was the granddaughter of Joseph Sauce, a successful inventor, businessman, and entrepreneur. And the name lives on today in the invisible hinge he invented over 100 years ago and is still in distribution. The family and the company moved to Detroit from New York to pursue opportunities with the auto industry. And there were some tough years in there as Barbara mourned the loss of her mom. But in high school, things started turning around, it seems, when her best friend Edith introduced her to her brother, Harold Marko, who would later become the love of her life and husband until 2017. They traveled the world together, had 3 sons, and lived a wonderful life. And she settled into that most honorable profession of wife and mom. But she donated a lot of her time to charity, created the used bookstore, taught adults who needed help with their reading, and really poured out her life not only into her family but her community. I would have gotten along with her because she loved books, she loved art, antiquities, opera, so much so that she chaired the committee to bring the New York Met to Detroit one year. And the day after opening day, let it not be forgotten that she was a big-time Tigers fan. And she probably would have been right along a friend of mine who proudly proclaims 162-0. But there are family who couldn't be here that wanted to speak in as well. We got a note from her sister Lori saying, "I would like to take this opportunity to express my appreciation for Barbara and Marjorie, my 2 older sisters. They were wonderful to Lizzie and me when we were kids. They took us to the state fair, to amusement parks, all sorts of places, and it was so much fun. I believe that Barbara should get the most credit for that. She probably suggested it, and Marjorie probably just went along." That's one sister talking to another. Barbara was a wonderful sister, and I will miss her every day. Now, there's no way that I could go anywhere near doing justice to the beauty and the richness of Barbara's life. And so we're going to invite family to come up and share some of their thoughts. We'll start with the grandchildren, and then we'll kind of move into the concentric circles and let her sons have a word as well. So why don't we get started?
Hi, my name is Chloe Marko, and this is my brother.
I'm Max.
And we are the grandchildren to Barbara Marko. I speak on behalf of both of us when I say that our time with our grandma was cherished deeply. As she was our last living grandparent, we cannot be more grateful for the time that we shared with her.
We'd always never take for granted the trips that we take up to Grandma and Grandpa's house. They were always the best times. I remember Grandma would always have plenty of board games and puzzles always prepared for us to play with us. And we always would look forward to those trips and times. She would always enjoy listening to us when we played our instruments for her. We would both play violin, and that was one of her favorite things to do when we would come visit.
The kind of love Grandma felt for us was a love without condition. She just kept loving us, letting us know that she was there, and if we ever needed her, we could count on her to listen, to comfort, and to help. She lived a simple life. It didn't take much to make her happy. A phone call, a card, a visit, or a tune on the violin. She lived to make our lives better, and she made it clear every time we saw her that she was more than proud of us. And that's all we could have ever asked for. Thank you.
Grandma, we'll miss you and love you.
So I'm Matt Marko, Barbara's youngest son, and I want to thank everybody for coming, especially those that didn't even know her but are just coming to support the family and stuff like that. We really appreciate it, and the family and those who've come a long way. Thank you so much. We're going to be going to the Hunt Club afterward, which is just down Long Lake Road to Kensington and up. Anyway, Mom was a very smart woman. She had a master's degree in English literature. Also, that meant as I was growing up, I got my grammar continuously corrected. And the problem with that was now I'm aware of people's grammatical errors, but I learned not to correct people because it could be very annoying, so I don't worry about it. She was also an excellent bridge player. I learned not to even make the attempt of playing bridge with her because it was a very serious thing. She was a very caring woman. She gave a lot to charities. Later in life, I became her financial secretary, which meant I had to make the list of all her charities for the CPA, and believe me, that was a big job, writing down all the donations she made. And I would say to her, Mom, you gave donations repeatedly to the same charity. I said, why would you do that? You should just do it once a year. She'd say, but they sent me a letter, they needed more money. So, okay. And the charities were unbelievable. She would give to, I'd say, Mom, why did you give so much money to an Indian tribe? They've got casinos, they don't need your money. She'd say, oh, this tribe doesn't have a casino. And it was ridiculous. So we had Indians without casinos. We had horses with long faces. I mean, the list was unbelievable that we'd be giving charities to. She also was a good tennis player, believe it or not. And she and I, in 2003, won a tennis tournament together. And that was to raise money for the Michigan Opera Theater. And we played as partners other times. And I've got some of my tennis friends here. And she was a patriot. She also gave a lot of money to political campaigns from around the country. They all would contact her, and she was very giving and quite a patriot. In fact, she even talked me into going to a Trump rally in 2016. Actually, it happened to be the Halloween just before his election. And she talked me into going to that, and I brought her. And one thing that Mom also did, which I thought was very impressive, she would, on Sundays, do the New York Times crossword puzzle. And I don't know if anyone's familiar with it, but I would look at this thing, and the questions to me made absolutely no sense. I had no idea how she would do it. And she would do it in ink and a felt tip pen. But anyway, she was a very loving person. She was one of the most, she would cry during commercials and things like that. And just a great classy, intelligent person, a great role model, and we're very fortunate. Thanks.
I'm Neil Marko, the middle son of Barbara's, and those were my children, Max and Chloe, who spoke first, and proud of that. I didn't have a paper or pencil handy, so I wrote all my notes in my phone. So bear with me here. But of course, there are the. Anyway, I might have deleted them all. Anyway, Matt spoke a little bit about what a bridge player mom was, and that brings back fond memories. They were trying to teach my older brother Cliff and me. Matthew, you were spared that, you were too young. But I remember they were very good. They'd win Masters Point competition, and they were amazing. And they tried to teach us that and expected us to be that good. Remember Cliff? They would watch every play we'd make, and they'd say, "Oh my God, you're not gonna play that." My dad and mom were perfectionists at that sort of thing, and I'll never forget it. But a memory, Leonardo da Vinci once wrote in his notebooks, "We are products of those people around us who pass away before us." And it could be very true, because I feel like I'm a part of Mom. She was a very emotional, loving person, and I feel like that the three of us picked that up. We learned a lot and became a good part of our parents. And we were very blessed. Everybody tells me, "Neil, you were so lucky to be with your mom for so long." She was 93 years old. And we were very lucky to have her so long, and very blessed. But it still hurts so much to say goodbye, no matter how lucky and blessed we are. But many of you have had to say goodbye to your parents. And I promised my kids that when it's time for me to go, I'll try to do it in warmer weather. But I'll be brief. I just want to say, Mom, you were the best mom ever. Thank you for being so loving and kind and forgiving and happy and encouraging. You believed in me when I didn't believe in me. You forgave me when I wasn't the best. You were always there for me. It made me feel special all the time. And you were my rock. Goodbye.
I too would like to thank everybody for coming, my friends, my neighbors, my family. We appreciate you very much. Today I have to say goodbye to my best friend. She was the only person who loved me unconditionally. She was my biggest encourager, enabler, and my biggest cheerleader. Mom encouraged me no matter what. She encouraged me even if she disagreed with me. Mom believed in me even when I didn't believe in myself. She believed in me until I believed in me. And for that, I shall always be grateful. Mom told me many stories about her life, from the time of her first memories at the age of 4 or 5, growing up in New York City. She told me the story of the big man who lived next door to her, Babe Ruth. Whenever Babe saw Mom, he'd give her a piece of candy. Mom liked Babe Ruth. She also told stories of heartbreak and pain, like losing her mother to some strange disease when she was only 11 years old. I believe this scarred her soul more than anything else, and it lasted a lifetime. A young girl needs her mother. I also believe this formed her personality more than anything. This is what made Mom so loving, caring, and compassionate toward other people. She was very generous with her time and her money, whether she knew them or not. Mom had a wonderful sense of humor. I remember Mom driving her car and we were stuck in rush hour traffic, bumper to bumper, not moving. Mom would say, "I wonder where everyone is going. Where is everybody going? Get out of the car and find out where everybody is going." When she was driving me on the freeway and some idiot was driving way too fast and weaving in and out of traffic, she would say, "Now there's somebody who has to go to the bathroom." And if we passed by a cemetery, she would say, "I hear people are just dying to get in there." In a few minutes, Mom will be put in the ground next to the man she loved for over 70 years. They had a love affair for the ages, something the rest of us can only dream about. They were a great team together. I thought of them as yin and yang. Where Dad was weak, Mom was strong. Where Mom was weak, Dad was strong. They built a life of fulfillment and happiness. When Dad died, Mom missed him so. Thinking back on their relationship together, the only times I recall them ever fighting was over cards, especially bridge. They would really argue if somebody led the wrong suit or if somebody trumped an ace. May God forbid one of them trump the other's ace. Apparently, some sins are just not forgivable. I have been feeling sorry for myself lately, but I am also feeling sorry for the whole world, because the world needs more Barbara Markos in it. What a great place it would be if there were more. And now there is one less Barbara Marko in the world. We are all the poorer for it. Well, the time has come for me to say goodbye. Thank you, Mom, for being there for me, for everything. I will never be able to express my gratitude and love for all the love you've given me. Thank you, Mom. Goodbye, Mom. I love you, Mom.
Sure that each of you has knitted into your souls a piece of the woman that she was. And in the face of this kind of pain that I've experienced myself, I told the boys I was a part of that most unwelcome club that we're all in now. And moments like this, especially accentuated by the pandemic, and it sometimes it just feels like the world's crushing in, doesn't it? And in the face of this reality that human ingenuity just doesn't seem to be able to solve, there's some things that I have to cling to, that even in the face of the ugly reality that we're all experiencing, that plays itself out in moments like this, I have to cling to the possibility that there is a larger story at work. I'll be the first to say that I don't know what it totally looks like, but I believe it begins here. It begins with the kind of unselfishness and love and self-sacrifice for others, and can continue from there. And in the face of the ugliness that we're in and this larger story that calls us to lift our head and put our eyes on other people and love and serve them. I think that the thing that Barbara lived out so well was the proposition that relationships are everything. And those things can fuel you as you give and pour your heart out and everything, abandoning yourself to everything that you think you're owed, because I think that that's part of the job description of a mom. And pouring everything that you got into the lives, into another, abandoning yourself to the possibility that you'll get poured into as well. Something really amazing happened in the life of Barbara, and that's something that can continue. So with the permission of the three boys, and knowing that our time is short, I want to challenge you to a eulogy, a personal eulogy. And don't get intimidated by that, because in the end, all eulogy means is good word. So what I'd love to hear is, what is the one good word that comes to mind when you think of Barb? Go ahead and holler it out. Love. Wonderful. Beautiful. Intelligent. Compassionate. Unconditional. Great. That's 2 words, sir, but I'll take it. Anything else? Come on, represent from the back for me. Funny? Smart? Kind? Generous? These are all amazing words. And so, in the midst of those words that she lived out in each of your lives, the way the ripples kind of keep going even after the stone has broken the surface of the water is to take that good word that God wrote on your heart through Barbara and live it out for the rest of the world. Because there was a lot of pain that she went through and a lot of pain that still remains. And I think, don't you agree with me that the world would be a better place if it saw more of love, of generosity, of caring? All of those words that you shared, all of those words that go into the air but also are an overflow of your life. And so, yes, you're absolutely right, Cliff. The world needs more Barbara Markos. But in a strange way, the seed has been planted and it can grow from there. An advisor and friend of mine said that how many seeds are in one apple? And he actually had me cut it open and count the number of seeds that are in an apple, and it's usually 7 or 8, somewhere in there. But then he asked me, how many apples are in one seed? It might be nothing. That seed gets put on a shelf, and it will never know its fullest potential. But you put it in good ground. You put it in the ground of family and community. And you know, the interesting thing is, if you put a seed in good ground, you don't have to tell it to grow. And out of an overflow of the seed that she planted in you, I frankly expect great fruit to come from it. And I thank God in advance for the beauty that was Barbara Marko and is Barbara Marko, will be Barbara Marko in the future. So, to understand and recognize the ugliness that we're living out and the pain that we walk through. And, you know, the hopelessness that can come as a result. When my mom died, I felt like I was walking through a vat of Elmer's glue for a while there. It was really, really hard. And, journalist and thinker G.K. Chesterton talked about this cultural hopelessness just at the turn of the 20th century when he wrote the book Orthodoxy, one of his seminal works. And he said something that always captured my attention. He said, "I know this feeling fills our epic, and I think it freezes our epic. For our purposes of faith and revolution, what we need is not the cold acceptance of a world as a compromise, but some way in which we can heartily hate and heartily love it. We do not want joy and anger to neutralize each other and produce a surly contentment. We want a fiercer delight and a fiercer discontent. We have to feel the universe at once an ogre's castle to be stormed, and yet as our own cottage to which we can return at evening." I read this years ago, and it's captured my imagination ever since. It sets me free in many ways as I've processed the pain of loss and walked alongside others in theirs. We are bound neither by a cold pessimism that sees the world as irredeemable, nor a false optimism that all is well. And perhaps more critical, we mustn't let the two extremes meld together into a dissatisfied lukewarm of hopeless resignation. Take what was beautiful in Barbara's life and live it out. And even as we put her in the ground next to her beloved Harold, it's an act of faith and a deposit on a beautiful future that we dare not dream of. So it's with that understanding of the cold Michigan wind, but the warmth of something that she has already been called into that we do that. So if you'll permit me, I'll pray and then we will proceed. Lord, we don't understand this. And in the end, if we're all honest, we're just feeling our way along. But Lord, by your example of your great love for us, of your reaching across time and space and even our own shortcomings to invite us into a greater adventure, Lord, help us to be redeemed by that, to be changed by that, and to give just a little bit more. Let us live out those words that Barbara planted so generously in our lives and do the same for others. And by your power, we look forward to a day that we will all be in unity with everything that is good, and we will recognize each other and say hello again. And we thank you for that. In your name, amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, our service is now concluding for Mrs. Marko. Thank you all for being here in attendance and supporting your family with your presence. And as you leave the cemetery,